think it kind of helped design my strategy with me because I really didn't have one before. I really liked how methodical it was, right from choosing what kind of schools I want to apply to, then what those dates are, and just like a little bit of the tactical, how we want to spread them out, then making sure that I'm putting enough attention and consistency on each of those elements.
It really helped me prioritize more of what are the things that I should be working on, where should I be channeling my answers, and it was really helpful to be able to be a little bit more targeted towards what should my answer be for each specific school rather than kind of one general blanket answer.
The biggest thing probably in the application itself was for the essays. I had no idea that I had to be so specific. I thought I could write the high level, here's what I've done and here's what I hope to do. But knowing that you have to be literally, here are the classes I'm going to take, and I think they will fill these gaps, and this is how, this is the clubs I'll join and what I'll contribute at a very specific and tangible level. It ended up being, the best way to showcase that I had a good grasp on my strengths and weaknesses and what I want to get out of the program. And I would have never thought that would have been the best way to communicate it.
Really made me think about my entire application strategy in a much more intentional way. So I actually did apply to one business school last year unsuccessfully on my own. And the difference between, my individual pursuit of an MBA application strategy compared to the one that I did this year with Personal MBA Coach, they were completely different. I think, throughout the entire process, this was a partner that knew what they were doing, had a ton of experience in this field, and were able to ensure that I was taking the right actions at the right time.
Once I began working with Personal MBA Coach, that was when I felt like I wasn't alone on this MBA journey. Personal MBA Coach provided quick turnarounds on all the edits, and I think more importantly, just held me accountable while also serving as a support system throughout the process.
I think the best advice I got was I was working on one of the early applications where I had written a draft. It was a few feedback, very specific feedback, and then I got a very okay, this is not cutting it, we're not being compelling enough, and we need to really raise the bar of the standard of what we're writing and how we want to present the story. And at that time when I read it, it kind of pinched a bit, but I think just half an hour later, it made me take a step back, actually view things from a different perspective. And I really appreciated that kind of harsh criticism, and that too very early on, so that I can set my expectations right and be able to draft something that is a lot more compelling.
Personal MBA Coach knew exactly what each school was looking for. So helping me understand how should I be positioning myself and putting kind of the best face forward for what that school specifically was looking for to give me the best kind of chance.
The literal content was extremely helpful of this essay should look like this, or this essay should look like that. It really felt like I would not have been able to come up with that by myself.
I think the piece that was most helpful to me was, the ability to practice an interview before I stepped in. I know that especially right before my very first MBA interview, I was incredibly nervous just because I had no idea really what it was going to feel like or be like. And I did a mock interview through Personal MBA Coach, and just having the opportunity to go through the process, knowing that it wasn't a final process, knowing that I could get a feel for that entire interview conversation and then understand how I can improve upon that, that was incredibly useful to me.
So going into this, I thought I had a pretty clear idea of what industry I wanted to pursue. And so I was really eager to begin the writing process. But Personal MBA Coach challenged me to really flesh out my short and long-term goals. And that ultimately was the basis for all of my essays.
Honestly, I really liked working with Personal MBA Coach. I've recommended this to a lot of people. I actually know friends who also later on went on to work with Personal MBA Coach. I really liked how direct and supportive the work collaboration was. I also was initially a little concerned because I was based out of India when I was applying. So I was a little concerned how the time difference would work. But the responsiveness was always incredible. It was a very easy collaboration for me.
The reason that I decided to choose Personal MBA Coach was because it felt like I was working with a real person who actually cared about me and how I was doing, rather than working with kind of part of a large faceless machine. So I think the personable aspect of Personal MBA Coach is definitely the main reason why I chose to work with them.
It was really easy to keep track of where all the essays were and see what was coming up. I think everyone who did the interview prep was super friendly and super approachable, and it didn't feel stressful to engage with anyone from Personal MBA. It felt like a group of people who were genuinely helping you. And so I think that was nice.
Something that I really liked was that it felt, very personal, as might be insinuated by the name. Everyone that I worked with was incredibly dedicated to understanding my story and who I was as an individual. And so I felt that my true story really came through in everything that I submitted. And I felt like the Personal MBA Coach team was really dedicated to, making sure that I was presenting myself as I am in a way that obviously tells my experience in the best light.
I was skeptical about using a consulting firm, but after having heard Scott's presentation at an MBA event and after speaking with him on the phone, I felt that I could really trust Personal MBA Coach. From my first conversation with Scott, it was clear that he's passionate about his job and genuinely was invested in my success.